I guess it's to give
Sure.
people, a heads up. Things are about to get real. Things are real now. We're about to, you know, get into the jungle, as they say. What's that old song? Welcome to the jungle. We're going to the
Yeah,
jungle.
yeah. Wow, the jungle. All right. We're gonna battle it out here.
Well, yeah, Rumble in the Jungle. This is the story of the lost caverns of Ixalan. I'm wearing my adventurer's hat. I have Ryan D, who was the AGL's lead designer for this tournament's mechanics. And this is Leagues Behind, the show where we dig into the old tournaments that we've run, in this case, all the way back to December 2023, I think is when this tournament was slated to end. So we're beginning to approach the present, but we still have, a couple, 3 good years of design to catch up on before Leagues Behind starts retreading into where Leagues Ahead has gone. I'm Christopher York, the founder of the AGL, the host of the podcast, and boy, I'm excited to talk to Ryan because it's been a long time, man. How have you been?
Yeah, man, I've been great. I'm excited too. It's been a while. It's cool that occasionally I'm still thought of to bring
Well,
in at least for
look,
these old things.
look. Now, this is the thing. Old LC members like yourself, retirees, they've been coming back. They've been doing guest slots for our 3 week leagues. And this, as I recall, came largely fully formed out of your head and was accepted and run without much in the way of revision. Uh, would that be something that would interest you at some point? Do you have a league brewing in your noggin that's been dying to get out? You're like, well, I'm not in the LC anymore, so I can't do it. And like now you've seen through Caleb and Johnny that it's possible. Does it sort of get the juices flowing, the design juices flowing?
Why I hadn't considered that as a possibility, but yeah, I mean, if something comes to mind, I'll fire it off. But no, I don't have any lingering lingering ideas.
Okay.
Just waiting to be asked about.
We mind you to your core. we got
That's
we, we
right.
got the we got the best Ryan that
That's
there.
right. I'm just the retiree now that just showed up at the work event. That's
Just
like, oh yeah, hey,
just
there
a,
you are.
a
Have you thought
shambling
about
husk.
work in the last 3 years? No, nope, I have not.
I gotta say, like that's an awful position, isn't it? That's an awful position to be in, wouldn't it? I would think.
What's that? A retiree coming back?
Yeah, you gotta feel some sympathy. You gotta feel some sympathy for that. I don't know, it's kind of like a scorpion without its stinger,
No, no, of course not. I mean, it was a. I didn't retire because I lacked the skills, Chris. I could keep doing this. I could keep going.
In the
Uh,
words of Marvel, I could do this all day, right? I don't.
Yeah, yeah. It's just it's like college a little bit. It's just like like I had fun.
Mhm.
And it was just I'm sure I could stay and it would be great. But it was just time to move on
You're
and I
saying
I
you're
look back fondly on it.
you're saying that you aged out of it, and it's pathetic that we're still doing it, but you're way to turn it around.
Everything's open to interpretation, I guess.
Way to
But
turn it around on us.
well, ironically, you and I are both at colleges still, so but anyway.
That's right. Yeah, can't escape. There is something good, I think, and vibrant about being in that college environment. I do think it probably keeps me feeling like I'm in the flow. I have the
Yeah.
language down for a newer generation, and it's sort of like sometimes springing on people in my age group. Like, how do you know that? And I'm like, oh well, because I talk to people. That probably
Yeah.
probably
How else
helps.
do I know that hacky sack is getting popular again if I weren't out of college, right?
Exactly. All this valuable knowledge that you're bringing to the rest of the world. It's kind of like being an explorer. To bring it back to today's theme, again, like
Ooh.
I don't have any schedule for Leagues Behind, so we get to it when I have free time. It's not like we're doing Marvel superheroes. I'm like, do you know what people who are into Marvel would like to listen to? An hour-long podcast about how Lost Caverns of Ixalan was designed in 2023. Like, but to me, it's interesting. To me, it's important. I think there's the viewers who come to Leagues Behind are the people. There's some of the people who are reminiscing. That's probably the minority. Most of the people are hearing about this tournament for the first time and are just looking to understand what the tags on people's Discord rules mean? Like, what did you go through in order to get the Lost Caverns of Ixalan tag on your Discord profile? And
Hmm.
Ryan, I'm going
Yeah,
to
I
hand the
was,
mic to
you know,
you.
I was thinking it was going to be mostly veterans of the league that would turn in to listen. But maybe we get some new folks here that are wondering what it was
Well,
about.
well, you look back at the old role tags, which I can do as the server administrator, and I think there's only something like 70 people left, something like that. Like so, like it's and now we have 1,100 and change you know current members. So I'm thinking that the majority of people will probably be new listeners. You know,
Well,
comment below if you have if you have proof or disproof of this theory.
good
Uh,
engagement, Chris.
yeah, yeah. Remember to like, subscribe. I've been thinking about setting up a Patreon, but I don't do enough to justify a Patreon. I don't think. I wouldn't want my life to become where Patreon is the biz. I'd have to get much more professional with my recording skills and charm, presentation. Who's got time for that? Who's got time for self improvement? We're trying to play
That's
Magic
right.
here.
As far as I know, it's just a conversation between me and Chris. So that's how I'm treating it. I'm not expecting many viewers for you at all.
All right, so let's get into the mechanics then, because what did people have to go through to get the LCI badge on their Discord profile? Can you run us through
Uh,
what the concept was? I mean, I understand that
yeah.
it's all readily accessible for anybody who wants to go back to rules and registration and scroll back 3 years. You can find this, but to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak, the person who originated these rules, it might be interesting to hear from your perspective what we were doing in in late fall, early winter.
Yeah, absolutely, sure. So first of all, it was 3 years ago, so I don't remember everything as clearly, or
Fair.
I view it through, my lens. So I'm happy for you to add on whatever you remember too. One thing that helped was I did listen to podcast I did with John back at the LCI,
Yeah.
week zero
Hunt the
release in
week.
November.
Let's call it out. Hunt the
Yeah,
week.
yeah, absolutely. You can still find it on YouTube. I don't know what episode it was, but maybe we'll throw the link out there or something. But anyway, I re-listened to that and jogged my memory on some things. But
Yeah.
yeah, LCI was really really cool concept. I enjoy it a lot, and I have a lot of pride that it made a mark on the league as something interesting.
Yeah, so I
What were
think
you gonna
that,
say?
that was before leagues behind, right? So, or before leagues ahead, I should say. So we didn't have an official preview show for rule sets, which I think is useful for orienting people and sort of onboarding them.
Yep.
So Hunt the Week kind of picks up the slack there, and they do have a huge catalog. John's got a huge catalog of videos on YouTube that you can go back to. Might be on Spotify as well. I think if you sort of kick the weeds a bit.
I think they cap it there, so you gotta do it on YouTube.
Right, right. But so I think that
One
one of the things that you were sort of building on, if I recall correctly, was a previous league, which went a little differently, which I think you were aware of. But you kind of took it in a whole new direction. So Johnny, once upon a time, Johnny Mariani, he designed our league for Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. And in that, there was this whole idea of a dungeon crawl. And I believe it went through some iterations, but one of the iterations was basically this visual representation of your adventure through a dungeon, and things would happen to you sequentially, and you'd kind of have to rise to the occasion or win a prize or whatever. Trials and tribulations would occur to you. It was kind of like making a multiple path board game out of the league experience, which is something we've been, trying in some form or another to do for years and years, and kindly we finally landed on it in I would say Edge of Eternities with a real physical board, if you
Yep.
remember that one. So I think that like between Adventures in the Forgotten Realms and sort of how that league, happened, go back on Leagues Behind if you want to see how that happened. And all the way forward to Edge of Eternities where we have the tech to do these crazy things, came the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So you also had built this kind of, well, Adventures in Lost Caverns, which is just a whisper away from a dungeon, right? And you've got these three paths that players can go through. So can you tell us like what players would have to choose and like what motivated people to go down one rabbit hole rather than the other?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do want to, take a second to credit, other people too as part of the league committee.
Yeah,
That this, we're just kind of broadly saying this was my idea, but like, this never would have happened without all the discourse we were having there. So if one of our old members is thinking like, wait a minute, I think I
right,
said this or whatever, I
right.
do want to spread the wealth a little bit there. But yeah, I thought it was a really cool idea of having to have a choice, like you said, in the Forgotten Realms. Forgotten Realms, you had a choice between different classes. You had four different classes, and you could choose from it, and then different things would happen. Um, and well, let me just tell you what LCI is, first of all, what the
As a
rule
set,
set
yeah.
was. No, no, just what the rule set was here, and then we can talk about maybe, what inspired it. So basically, you just start out with three paths, and you get to decide, which one you want to go down. Do you want to go down the adventurer's path, the relic hunter path, or the archaeologist path? And the difference between the paths is what happens when you get your first loss and second loss and so forth, that there's a track you follow. So on the first loss, you might get a treasure map, which is a map token good to re-roll your current pack or any future pack you get for a random non-LCI set. So you kind of discovered something. So everyone actually started out in the same step, almost like the starting room of a cavern, right? You're on step one, you all discover a treasure map. But then it branches out from there. So if you chose the adventurer's path on pack two, it was a twist and turn, which is these are inspired by actual card names
Hmm.
in the set, which was your punishment pack is from a random non-LCI set. So that would be your pack there.
Right, which remember that's
Um,
the pre-play booster area, so that we it was a gamble, but it wasn't a gamble with like huge upside or huge detriment to your chances.
yeah, I would say in this context that the twists and turns were supposed to be not better than an LCI pack. So it was almost like a
Right,
twist and turn. It was like, oh, darn, I got turned around, or, you
right.
know, that was the flavor. So then, like, sticking with the adventurer path, for example, the next one was Daring Discovery, which is you discover a random uncommon artifact um, valued at three or less mana value. So, okay, you discovered an extra thing to go along with your normal LCI pack. So, pure bonus on that one.
Yeah, and just
That,
just going back just one quick step there. I think this was back when the pack reroll technology was this when it was first created or very close to it?
well, you kind of alluded to that, you know, the whole making a map in Edge of Eternities was a little step too far technology wise. But and we hadn't got to Steve made an awesome bot, one of the leagues, that would like message you after each pack and give you, choices about what you want to do.
Yeah.
We weren't at that stage yet. So a lot of these discussions when we were pitching league ideas were definitely like, I like this idea, but is it technologically achievable? And sometimes you didn't know yet, so you'd have to kind of just throw it out there and hope that Steve or Sawyer could power through and figure out a way to do it. I don't know if that answered your question,
No, no,
Kristen.
I'm just thinking, was this the premiere of that mechanic of the pack reroll mechanic? Um,
Oh, definitely not on the pack reroll. I don't think. I think we were borrowing that one,
right.
but
It's got to be
I
close
think
to
we
the
had
beginning.
done it previously. We had done definitely our own set.
Right, for Ixalan
So
Remastered,
we.
just the one before.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So we knew how to like, make our own cube, I guess, and make a packs out of that. So I think somehow we figure out how to add an extra artifact to
Right.
it. I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah. So sorry, go on.
Well, why don't
I
I?
derailed you with a twist and turn. I'll put you
Nice.
back on the path.
No, yeah, feel free. I mean, I don't think I want to read through every step on every path just because
No.
that would be a little
Yeah, this is just an example.
frustrating.
This is just a sample.
But yeah, so I'll kind of generalize. The next step on Adventurer was called the Tomb of Alcazotz, or whatever it is. And the point of this event was each path got like one of these kind of important events where you discover a random legendary something.
Yeah.
So this was a good one. You get it only on step 4, so that was pretty early on. So it's like tempting you to choose this path. You get a random legendary rare or mythic vampire. So vampires are an Ixalan thing. So you get a legendary rare or mythic vampire from a non-LCI set. So that might encourage you to choose that, as opposed to say the archaeologist path. You'd have to wait all the way to step 6, so your sixth loss, but then you would have gotten a random legendary rare or mythic dinosaur from a non-LCI set. So maybe that was calling you. Versus path 2 was Relic Hunter, which was a random pirate or merfolk, a
Hmm.
non-LCI set. And there was like Scryfall lists for each one, so you could like click it and like scroll through the list of like, when is a random merfolk even good, and then you look through and you might get tempted by some of the options there that you would actually go the relic hunter route.
So there was some discussion, right, of like running back the classes, from I think it was Zendikar League, where you had, or maybe it was Forgotten Realms, where we had the cleric and the warrior and whatever else. But we decided not to assign roles for these, I don't think, except on the spreadsheet. So this was pretty much a private matter. Like it wasn't a sort of point of interaction for the community. It's more like in private, you would decide which of these paths was best for you. And there may be some discussion about what's optimal and what's not. And I think that overall, the paths were roughly equally chosen and roughly equally represented in the top 8, which was good to see.
Yeah,
Which is a
yeah,
sign of
right,
nice
exactly.
balance, which is a sign that they were roughly balanced and that there was a reasonable amount of, there's reasonable disagreement you could have with somebody about which was the best path. And in
Well,
the
and
end, it came down
also
to your
it was
preference.
like light flavor too. It wasn't like it was just, a nice little extra thing by choosing the paths. It didn't necessarily define your whole experience.
Right,
Like sure, you got an extra random legendary vampire and maybe it was just off color and you didn't even use it. So
yeah,
it was still, it was still fun to do, but if you just opened a broken pool, it still took you far.
right, yeah. None of these were game warping advantages or disadvantages. Um, so you say, like, for example, you have fond memories of this league. Do you have any sort of like stories or tales about your experience in it?
Oh, actually playing the league, I don't have many memories of it at all. I had to go back in my notes and like look at what my decks were and like, oh yeah, I remember. I didn't even remember which path I chose, for instance.
Okay,
I ended up doing the path to the Relic Hunter and getting a legendary Merfolk. I got Emery, Lurker of the Lost, can recur an artifact in a graveyard, which is a
nice.
pretty cool one
Yeah, I think
because there's
that's from Eldraine, I believe, right?
yeah, right. And it was good artifact synergy. So it was kind of fun to play around with and actually get something useful from my relic hunter, special ability descend event. But no, I went 9 and 11, so it wasn't like I think you remember the leagues that you do
That
well
you
in, right?
spiked, yeah. I tell
Um,
you what, original Lycoria League. Woof, that was peak. That was peak magic, as far as I know. As far as I know.
yeah, right, exactly. Well, hey, you got top 5 in this one. Do you remember
Oh,
that?
I don't actually, but I should. That sounds pretty exciting. I think, yeah. I mean, when was the last time I top 8? It's been a while. Unless you clinch them, sometimes the top eights they blur into each other.
Yeah, you went 18 and 11, and that was good enough to top eight back then with only 70 people. So,
Back then, yeah.
well, how many are we getting now?
Well,
It's more than
yeah.
70, right?
Well, yeah. I think it's more than 70. I think that the current league has 160, 170 around there somewhere.
There you
Um,
go. We could look back finally. Oh, remember when 8 and 11 could get you a top five? Wasn't that nice?
yeah, I mean it's now it's I think it's like 2010 is like the minimum record you'd need to sort of to do that, right? So the qualifying results are a little less flaccid, let's say. You got to really keep up a good performance all the way through the league to make it to the finals now. And I think opening the top 16 has sort of alleviated some of that, pressure so that people feel like maybe it's reasonable that I could make the finals. Um,
Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, I wasn't aware of that change.
oh, you weren't aware of the change. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's part of what we've done to sort of. I mean, there was some. I don't know if you call it a moral panic, but there was like a sense that, well, look, ordinary people can no longer top eight, so we need to do something. So now there's a top 16.
Yeah,
You double your chances.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. I mean, it's a bit like Jack's been nice enough to handle the mega drafts because now we have two mega drafts per league.
Hmm.
So that's good. And I think people roughly enjoy it. I think the thing we have to work on now is to sort of make the finals more of an event because the two winners of the two mega drafts have to battle each other in a best of five. We could probably do,
Wow, best of five. Using
yeah,
the decks they drafted from their mega
from
draft.
different pods, yeah, from the different pods of their mega
Okay.
drafts. So it's kind of, it should be epic. We should do more to advertise it and to get it.
Well, well, don't take that me not knowing about it as any sort of indication of non-advertisement.
So yeah, I mean, given the sort of sweet spot that it has in your memory, is it possible to look back on it critically? Like, what would you do differently if you were doing LCI again today?
Well, I think, like we kind of already alluded to,
Hmm.
that there was a technology limitation back then,
Yeah,
where you didn't know what was possible, so you didn't want to push the boundaries too far and something that's not achievable, and make, one of the tech guys on the committee, do a lot of extra work, for
yeah, yeah.
something that might not pan out. So, as we keep growing our technology base and understanding what is more and more possible, I mean, that's been really great. I think the limitation on this league was, that you have to choose your path at the beginning,
Hmm.
and then there was no more choice. You were in that path, and fun stuff happened at each loss, in addition to just getting your normal punishment pack. But there wasn't any further choice. And I definitely remember Adam pitching, like sort of a almost like you're playing a board game where you just
Yeah,
have the start and you go to different rooms, and like you guys did with Edge of Eternities a little bit more, where you actually have a map and have to choose, which path to go on next based on where you last were. And that would have been really awesome, but it was just too much at the time, too much new stuff. We just have to figure out how to give someone a random uncommon artifact in their pack, in addition, making the branching path was a little out of our
yeah.
realm. So I wouldn't do it differently per se, but that's definitely like, if the idea was being pitched now, that's something that we would try to incorporate some choice, during the league instead of just at the start of the league.
Well, again, talking about like league committee retirees helping out, I think it was Sawyer who helped with the technology for Ether Drift and getting the board going for that, so you could actually see where you were on the racetrack.
Oh, that's great. Sorry, I didn't do that one either. So I Edge of Eternities was my the one I was aware of, but yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we've come a long way, and I think that being able to see your avatar in real time on the racetrack kind of gave you a sense like I'm in this. I'm at this certain point in the race. I'm on this plane. If you haven't checked it out, it's probably worth looking at. I mean, it's not too. I mean, it does have shades of Lost Caverns of Ixalan to it, maybe partly because we went through a dinosaur themed plane, Muragonda, right, on the racetrack. But you could almost see that technology being used here, where you had like your avatar on the board. You could see like where you are on the path and what options are available to you, and you can sort of like just move one space down, so to speak, to the next level. I was thinking, yeah, something along the lines of what you recall Adam had said, like if we all do share the same point of entry on each of the paths, if we really do share like a board space, so to speak, why not represent that, right? And just say, okay, everyone starts in the same place, and then where you go to next is up to you. And it would be nice if the caves reconnected at a certain point, but then I think maybe I maybe recall an objection I might have had at the time is that that makes certain events more likely to happen than others, and you can sort of if you can mix and match the paths, there's no actual weight to the choice. Like if you're entering a lost cavern, you shouldn't have any idea that it's going to crisscross back into another cavern, right?
Oh, interesting.
Do you
Huh.
know do you know what I mean? So in a way, like flavor wise, if you could completely map out what's going to happen by and say, well, I'll just jump tracks at this point and I'll get the double bonus. I'll get two mythics instead of one. That does seem to me like against the flavor or spirit of the enterprise, which is like at the beginning I have three holes in the ground. I don't know I don't know how this is going to pan out, but I'm going to choose this one based on vibes. And
Hmm.
I'll see you at the other end if I make it out. I think that's maybe I think there is something in front loading that dramatic choice, and then just kind of for the rest of the league you can grumble about it, but you're in it. I don't know. It's a little bit like I don't know if are you in Marvel Superheroes League?
No,
You're
no.
out. You're out. You're tapped out. But
Yeah.
we have something similar here, right? We have something similar in the sense that you have to choose a villain or a hero pack to add to your starting pool at the very beginning. So in other words, you're sort of heading down a track from day one, and that we sort of leaned into giving players a bit more paperwork to do at the beginning of the league to kind of keep people occupied between opening their pools and playing their first match.
Hmm.
And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, even
So they get
though
to see their pools first before making the
they
choice.
do. Yeah. And then they have a
That
choice
was
of
the
six
same way with
plays.
LCI. You got to see your pool just in case that would affect your decision or which hole to go down.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think that's, I don't know, I don't know if more interconnectivity would have been desirable flavor wise. Maybe like
Yeah.
if we really get the tech mastered, you could say you fall down a hole and you end up at a random point on somebody else's track. I think maybe that's more interesting, a bit more dangerous or whatever than just having you plan where you're going to go.
Well, I want to. This is making me remember that, you and I think, tended to argue more for the KISS approach
Right.
to league design. Keep it simple, stupid, in that, if we get too ambitious with an idea and then couldn't pull it off, and suddenly we're 2 weeks away from, when we're supposed to start the league, it's bad.
Yeah.
So I think we like to have the incremental, kind of growth here. Like the core league is good, is was like our base concept. So we're just adding something on top of it. We're not necessarily designing a whole new game that you have to play.
Mm.
Um, so that's how I thought of it, is just, hey, we're just adding on something to an existing, good game, good experience. So I didn't feel a lot of pressure to need it to be, perfect afterward.
Yeah,
That's not to,
I'm glad it's not just me, who takes credit or responsibility for putting the brakes on now and again. Like, you don't want to always be the guy that's like, no, but I want to be a yes and guy as far as possible. And I think recently I've sort of leaned into sort of, well, the game is flexible enough and the basic league structure is flexible enough. We can do a lot more ambitious things than I had originally thought were desirable or possible. And you can see that, like, the committee as well is sort of embracing this spirit of experimentation, and we're kind of going into all sorts of stuff that we I couldn't have predicted back in the LCI days that we'd ever get to. I think too, like there were people on the committee who weren't me as well, who were kind of more traditionalists, or who wanted to have like monoset leagues, or they wanted to
Hmm.
just go back to like the way things were, right? You know, but I was never like that in the sense that like I don't know if we just do vanilla leagues forever, you know, it's fine. It's a fine experience, but I do think like I like something a little bit more adorned, a little more creative. And I think that
Yeah.
LCI had enough sort of bells and whistles and feathers that even though it was a light touch design wise, it still was engaging throughout the 6 weeks of play.
Yeah, it's fun. Good game design. It's always fun to look forward to, something happening next. So you could. That's the great thing about the punishment pack, right? Is you always feel bad about losing, but now you're like, oh, not only do I get a punishment pack, oh yeah, this is the one where I got my, rare random artifact, or so it's just a little extra thing.
That's the secret sauce, right? That dopamine hit from immediately after a loss. You don't linger on the bad feeling. You get the sweet, you get the smell of the opened booster in the
But I
rooms.
do want to. It's a good segue because we haven't mentioned this yet, and it was a lot of discussion about it on the regular. When we were first rolling out this league, that the Descend Event 10, your 10th loss, was a big reward, and so that was kind of a subject of for lack of a better word, controversy. As we were rolling it out.
Yeah,
Um, One of them was the most controversial one was the archaeologist path,
yeah.
uh, where you would number 10, you could forgo your punishment pack and instead copy a card of your choice from your pool.
Hmm.
Um, and the copy a card was like, oh man, if you had a bomb, which everyone probably has a bomb after that many packs, you get to copy it. Everyone's gonna choose that path. That's too good, or something like that. But
Yeah.
it
It,
is on your 10th loss, so
yeah.
so how much
Well,
longer can you?
yeah, absolutely. And I think we've also leaned into that subsequently, Ryan. So the latest league, we had a dedicated pack slot, right, for Secrets of Strixhaven. On your basically we were modifying card slots in a pack, so you had three custom slots, and after a certain point, you could get three rares, and so you have like a four rare pack, and nobody blinked, nobody questioned about whether that would be unbalancing. Like, yeah, sure, just everyone gets a pack with four rares at the end. Like, good for them. I hope you go on a run at the last possible moment. So I
I'm
do,
kind of desensitized to that with the new play boosters. You do get multiple rares sometimes, so I'm
yeah,
like, oh
yeah,
yeah, that seems like a normal pack to me now.
exactly. Yeah, four rares.
But
Where's my fifth? Where's the foil slot? I want the foil slot as well. Um, but yeah, so I think that's again like so many server controversies. I think with a few years that looking back on, you can kind of see, well, maybe that was a bit silly. Maybe we could have not thought about things that way, and it would have been a non-event or a non-issue, really.
yeah, yeah, especially you can see where it's gotten us. We had those battles, of controversy, so that now it's not controversial that can have a big reward toward the end, in Strixhaven. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah, and you can, I don't know if you can tell, I don't know if you follow it very closely, but I do think like the server culture, generally speaking, is less contentious because we had all those battles already and survived them. You know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah.
now we kind of, I don't know if it's as
Yeah,
a
this is what we do here now. It's
yeah,
not a weird concept. Yeah.
exactly. The new idea has to fight its way into existence, and then it becomes normalized, right? And then everyone's like, "Well, yes, of course we do it this way." And it gives me a little bit of joy when I see like a new player come onto the server, Like, what are we doing here? Well, of course, we're making 60 card decks sealed, and then we're adding a pack on every loss. It's just like it's like a formula that everyone can sort of recall, and yeah, it kind of warms my heart that now it's like that's the default. That's what we do. Um,
Hmm.
Even though, right, there are some old timers like, have you read Richard's recent feedback? He's like, I'm out. There's no way that six pack seal can survive in the play booster era. It's too powerful. This is not what I signed up for. In the olden days, packs were weak, and this was you had to scratch out a deck out of nothing. But now, the play boosters are too juiced, and there's no extra dead commons that you have to sort of sift through to find a playable. This is just like a constructed deck from week two or whatever. Yeah,
Mm.
there's a little bit of something to that, but I think there still is progress. This isn't constructed, right? This is sealed, and I think we can only get so powerful even in the play booster era. You're still going to be scratching for a deck strategy for a playable, and you're going to have enough stuff in your sideboard that occasionally a new comeback pack, which is how we've rebranded punishment packs to be more user friendly. Comeback pack. You see how that feels
Right.
different? That feels different. No one
No,
likes
I kind of,
no
I
one
think
likes
that was on the
punishment.
edge of when I was still around. But yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
No one likes punishment. Everyone likes coming back though. So the what was I saying? Oh God. So gosh, I derailed myself. I'm on the wrong path here, Ryan. Help me back
Well,
on.
I think I mean, I think you did make your point, that, there's always controversy about, power creep basically.
Yeah, yeah,
But I guess what I wanted to add to that is, that was definitely happening when I was still part of the league committee. And a lot of that is just wizards in general, though. And, we can't fight wizards, in that they're making new packs and increasing the power level
yeah.
and, making less junk commons that go in their sets,
Right.
so instead of like trying to fight it, we're just kind of like rolling with it and like, well, this is what magic is now. We can always run, a chaos league or, an old set or something to, keep that flowing. But like this is,
Yeah.
we don't want to, fight the tide or something like that.
Well, yeah. I
But
think the sky is falling is something we've heard again and again, throughout Magic's history. Mark Rosewater's killing Magic. How is he doing it this month? This kind of stuff. I mean, for people who are on the roller coaster ride and who don't get, you know, bumped off at a certain point, it still goes somewhere interesting. I mean, I was bumped off of playing physical Magic when they changed the card frames into the modern card frame. Like, none of my cards fit together coherently, aesthetically in a deck anymore. I'm out of this game. Sold all my cards. Woof, that was a mistake.
wait, what do you mean? Like white border to black border? Like, what are you
No,
talking
no, no,
about
no, no.
here?
There's an old card frame that sort of predates, I believe it was 10th edition when they put the new card frames in.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Yep.
the new borders on the cards were different. They
Right.
abandoned their old sort of charming, like I think the white card background used to be like a doily that they photostated or whatever. It's like it was kind of it was kind of like it was primitive, but it was also charming. But they got rid of it, and all of the decks didn't work anymore in the sense that they looked like they were from two different games, and I'm like, oh, I'm out. This is too much. But I think
Well,
if you survive it, and goes back to my other point, right? If you can survive it, you can see like with our format, you're always going to have a comeback pack that you open that sort of tempts you back into the other colors, no matter how powerful the baseline is. I still think there are interesting choices, that can be made, and I think that that's how this format survives the play booster era. And I think I don't know, looking for packs that are just worse and sort of glamorizing or glorifying those. It's a bit like saying, well, I want my hamburger with more filler. I don't like all this, pure beef. Just give me an old fatty hamburger that's half intestines. You know, I don't know if that's a good analogy, but it kind of seems plausible. And to your point, like we always have the chance to do flashback leagues or to take things to a different place because we can make our own sets. the most recent, the current tournament, right, is the build a set tournament where players
Yeah,
voted in
yeah.
cards from Magic's history. We don't have to follow Wizards drumbeat if we don't want to. If we decide, for example, that things are getting too juiced and just one card wins the game every game, we can just go back and make our own formats now. There's enough Legos in the box that we can reconfigure them in any of several 100,000 ways without just having to buy the new Lego kit from the company, right? Like we have enough tools at our disposal unless something breaks down, unless the internet is destroyed or Arena goes offline and we have to find a new client, or there's lots of disaster scenarios where you got to start again from scratch. But um, mostly, I think and they keep sort of pouring new resources into Arena every couple of months, right? We have a lot of toys to play with that we haven't played with yet.
Mm.
Um, and it was like I was listening to Richard's again, ironically Richard's um, commentary on one of the feature matches yesterday, and he was saying how good it was in the Build a Set tournament, how we get to use all these cards from Modern Horizons 1 and 2 that sort of found their way onto the client via Jumpstart, and we never got to league those, and we never got
Yeah,
to play
yeah.
with them on the client. So look, we get to do, even like the what was it? Box promos or whatever, like Nexus of Fate or whatever, like the stuff that never made it into the main tournaments, we have it here now, and we can actually play this format that celebrates those cards. So I tend to be generally positive about the future of League, and not just because I'm invested in it, because I think we've been in this kind of skies falling scenario before, and things
Mhm.
have. We're here. We're still here after all the after all these years. And if anything, I think that things are going better than ever for us as a format, which is a great thing to be able to say.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I just want to, while I'm thinking about while you're talking, is like cube design.
Mm,
You know, people might go for like Arena Power Cube, which is like the highest, take all the best cards and whatever. But some people go for making cubes that are, lower power leveled, and you have to play with those cards
right.
still. And basically, we have that option to not always go with the biggest and best thing, but to restrict ourselves to, an environment that this card is good enough to be good in your deck.
Yeah, and I think too is like as tournament designers, like you have to sort of be playing to different audiences always. Like that's kind of the purpose and point of changing the rules every league, is that it appeals to different people. Some people don't like to socialize. They won't like the faction leagues. Some people love to socialize. That's what got them into the server, and it's what kept them there, is the sort of bonds that they made when they were in, I don't know, the Cabaretti or Quandrix or Mardu.
Witherbloom,
Right, exactly. You remember those things.
I
But
do.
but there are
Yeah.
some people who just wanna strategize in their corner, not socialize a lot. And a league like, for example, LCI would probably appeal to them because it's just them sort of like plotting out the maximizing path and then sort of like executing on that plan or failing to execute on that plan to make the finals. And I think that both of like all of these designs have their space. I wouldn't want every league to be a faction league, and I wouldn't want every league to be a sort of like siloed experience where people are just crunching numbers in their dens, and then sort of like just trying to maximize the expected value on their actions. So, yeah, what's that to say? I think this was an important league in the sense that it kind of moved us down that line of progression into. I think the one of the things that we're still trying to do is to make a board game out of Magic, right? Or to put a board
Yeah.
game around Magic, and we're still trying to do this. Like we have something on the skids for a while called the Chandelar League, right?
Oh yeah.
You remember Chandelar?
Oh yeah. I'm part of that. The crew crying for Chandelar. Yep.
We're gonna make it happen someday, right? Like that's the thing. Like it's we're getting closer and closer to being able to not turn League into a video game per se, but turn it into a board game that we can all kind of play along with from our browser screens. And
Oh, and that reminds me,
hmm,
I remembered now, it was OTJ where Steve had that bot where you could like buy from
yeah,
you could spend your money to buy. Oh man, that was awesome. That
ah,
was great. And that's
we're
the same thing with Chandelier, you could buy from a store type of thing. So yeah.
yeah, we're due for. I mean, that was Chandler inspired, and we're due for a return to the OTJ mechanics, like the market mechanic. That was hot fire because you always felt like you were getting away with something if you bought low on a pack that you thought was underrated by everybody else.
Holy crap, that was a good design. That was a good league. Look how we iterated.
It
How
was a
far away was OTJ from LCI? I don't know.
well, they're different. They're different. They're different parts of the palette, I think, right? Um, to me, like that. That's not a faction league. It's more like but it's deeply interactive, right? Like you do feel like you're in it with everybody, and there's reasons to brag and complain and mock. There's all sorts of reasons to say like my choice was the best. I got this pack for $300. Why did nobody else choose this? And now I've got this bomb rare from, and there's all sorts of opportunities to feel clever or to feel like you bought a dog pack at a really high overinflated rate to feel like a fool. And like those high highs and low lows, that's what keeps people in stock market speculation and casinos and in OTJ League, I think too, is like that we got to feel the high highs and low lows of our successful or unsuccessful speculations. So I do think we're due for a return. I think like that was what 2 years ago. My God.
Well, so it was April 2024, so it was only about 6 months after LCI. So it was a while back.
Yeah.
But over 2 years ago. But it just shows like how quickly we progressed technologically. Like the LCI, was just one of the blocks to help, lay the groundwork for doing all this more crazier stuff down the line, and it didn't happen too much further.
Yeah, maybe it's a matter of like slowly turning up the heat, right? Like this that's what this league did. It's
Right.
just slowly turned up the heat. And yeah, I don't know. I think you could run this now largely in its current form and nobody would object to it. Everyone would be like, that's,
High praise.
no, well, no, I do think like people like again, acknowledging the technological limitations of the day in 2023, this was high art and you know, one of the most cutting edge leagues that we did up to that date, I suppose, right? But I think now people are used to like exploring space, speculating on markets, doing multiple rerolls on packs with custom slots. I think that's why we have to go back and acknowledge the importance of these sort of stepping stones, so that we can kind of see like it was hard at the coal face, getting even this pitch, to be accepted by some people. So it just shows like incrementally, um, yeah, this is an important step along the way. So I want to thank you, Ryan, for bringing this league into well, for and all the other LC as well, who were there at the time. Do you want to call out the people who were on the LC when you were there?
Oh, well, I remember Sawyer and Adam and Johnny, and you and me. Um, so I'm probably missing one person, so that
Was
sucks.
Caleb was
I'm
Caleb
sorry.
still there?
No, I don't think so. Not for
No.
this one.
Okay.
Um, yeah, sorry guys. I don't have access to the channel anymore, so I can't look at who was talking and at that time about it. So
Yeah,
sorry whoever I'm
it's
missing,
lost
but
in the sands of
you're
time.
yeah,
But
yeah. You're
but
not lost in my heart. You're just lost in my exact memory of what happened in LCI creation.
but this show, I mean, I think it's part of archiving that, and I think that this leagues behind is the reason, at least part of the reason that we started getting identifying lead designers and to identify all the contributors who were in the back room, sort of cooking up the ingredients that went into the stew. So if you go to the rules documents now, we have a list of people like the main
Oh, that's
designer,
awesome.
and then everybody who threw in ideas along the way.
Oh, that's great. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, credit where credit's due and all that, and also just helps me later on when I'm trying to say whose idea was that? Like 3 years later, it helps me kind of get back to the source.
Well, Steve was definitely the other guy that I'd already mentioned him on the podcast, so I just forgot to mention him now. So Steve was the other person in the room at the time.
Was he just starting out back then? I think he must have been.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, because maybe there was an overlap between him and Sawyer, like, having tech roles, but
Yeah,
I don't remember exactly.
that's right. I think that's exactly right. Yeah, there's a sort of like mentee period where they were kind of both on there. Um, and yeah, Steve's gone from strength to strength, and Sawyer still put his shoulder to the wheel now and again. So that's yeah, it's great. We again like ideas are a dime a dozen. Implementation, that's the tough work. So we got to acknowledge, Steve in the boiler room, making all these far flung and far fetched ideas work in practice. And once again, Ryan, I want to thank you for your role in getting this league off the ground and for your time today and coming back and revisiting Lost Caverns of Ixalan.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure.
Any final words for our audience?
No, I mean, I miss you guys. I hope all, of you are having fun and having, your get-togethers and everything too. And, I'll return someday, I hope.
Yeah, well, we're waiting
And
for your
I
guest league
hope to
idea
find
now.
this. Oh yeah, guest league idea. Maybe I'll come back with a bang and with a whole new, not just join a tournament, but with a new one of my creation. Who knows?
Return of Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Return to Lost Caverns, this time with multiple overlapping paths.
That's right.
We'll get you back for the next Ixalan set. There's got to be one, right? They've got to release the schedule of 2027 tournaments soon, right? Or sets. They have to do that soon. They've got to give us a peek. It's the middle of the summer, right?
Hmm.
It's got to come out. I don't know. Do you know when it comes out? They have an
Uh,
annual. They have an
no,
annual like release thing. I think maybe it's in the late summer or early fall when they say, "Here's what you can expect from Wizards going forward." And
that
it's
would be something more on your radar, Chris. When I retired, I retired. You did your little fake retirement and then still, kept your hands and everything. So I'm out. I'm not following Magic News that much.
fake retirement. Rumors of my death were greatly exaggerated. I just, when I thought I was out, and then they pulled me back in. What can I say? I do,
Hey,
I do.
happy you're still here, dude.
Yeah, I've got a passion for it, and I think like sometimes when you get to that level, you're like, oh, I just gotta get my hands off the wheel. Partly it's that like you have to change to see things differently, like the frustration or the tapping out, which I think everybody does in Magic or really anything in their lives at a certain time is just kind of a way of saying like I need some time to rethink myself or something that's happening like this more of a structural thing that's happening than anything else, and sometimes just waiting it out kind of helps. And I've kind of come back to it now with a bit more vigor and interest, and I'm seeing how we can make things better. um, and hopefully some of that will translate into positive things for the format and for the community. If I'm ever that guy, the retiree at the party who's needs to be shuffled off, I'm sure that people will tell me. But again, triple thanks, and we're at the end of our window of the podcast, so we're going to sign off here. Thanks again, Ryan, and we'll see you next time on Leagues Behind.
All right, thanks a lot. See you,
Thank you.
everyone. Have fun.